Welcome back, Math Crew, especially our elementary teachers. This is the Math Line, and I am your host, Lisa Wardle, and I have my co-host, Cheyenne Roberts, here with me.
Hi, guys.
So if you are listening to this while setting up math centers, wiping down whiteboards, or quietly wondering how kindergartners still have this much energy, well, welcome.
Today we are talking about Chapter 6 of the California Math Framework, which focuses specifically on kindergarten through 5th grade, those foundational years where students are first figuring out what math is and who they are as math learners.
And this chapter asks a big question right away. What does math class actually feel like for our students?
Not what we planned, not what's written in our lesson plans,
but the actual lived experience, especially for our youngest learners.
One of the clearest messages in this chapter is that students do not learn math by watching someone else do math.
Which feels obvious and also deeply uncomfortable if you grew up with a lot of, watch me, now you try.
This matters a lot in K through 5 because these classrooms are where math identity is really formed.
Right, and before students decide whether they like math or think they're good at it, they are observing how much math feels in these early years.
Yeah, so Chapter 6 really centers around student engagement, agency, and identity.
Right, and the engagement does not mean quiet compliance, which we see so often.
Especially not in K through 2.
Totally. And in K through 2, engagement often looks like talking, moving, drawing, building, sorting, and sometimes loudly disagreeing about which answers make sense.
And that is not chaos, that is learning.
And in grades 3 through 5, engagement starts to look like students explaining their thinking, comparing strategies, and justifying why something works.
Still active, still messy, just a little deeper.
And another huge focus in this chapter is that productive struggle.
Which sounds great in theory until you're standing next to a student who is very upset that the answer is not immediately obvious.
And the framework is really clear that struggle only works when students trust the environment.
So in K through 2, that means students learn early that mistakes are normal and expected.
Yes, and because if students learn in 1st or 2nd grade that being wrong is embarrassing, they carry that fear all the way into middle and high school.
Yeah, and in grades 3 through 5, productive struggle looks like students sticking with problems longer, trying multiple strategies, and learning that effort leads to understanding.
Totally. So this chapter, it also really puts a big emphasis on that math discourse.
Yes, even with our 5-year-olds.
And in K through 2nd grade, math talk might sound like sentence frames, revoicing, pointing, gesturing, or using drawings to explain their thinking.
And in grades 3 through 5, it grows into full explanations, strategy comparisons, and respectful disagreements.
Right. Math talk is not extra. It is actually the instruction.
Yeah, exactly. And Chapter 6 also highlights the importance of multiple representations.
Because students do not all access math in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And in K through 2, that might mean we're using manipulatives, some tens frames, number lines, and pictures.
Right. And then when they get into grades 3 through 5, that expands to tables, graphs, diagrams, equations, and written explanations, often all side by side.
Yeah, and the more ways students can engage with the math, the more students stay in the thinking.
Yes. This chapter also really aligns closely with building thinking classrooms, especially at that elementary level.
Yeah, the thinking task, collaboration, and the student sharing strategies, those all align.
Yep. And teachers shifting from explaining everything to designing experiences where students make sense of the math themselves.
Yeah, so if you were listening to this before reviewing curriculum, here is the Chapter 6 lens.
Where do students get to think first?
Where do they talk about math, not just answer questions?
Where are mistakes treated as learning opportunities?
And where do students leave class believing, I can do math?
Because these early years matter more than we sometimes realize.
For K through 2 students, this is about curiosity, play, and learning that math is something that you do.
Exactly. And for those kids in 3rd through 5th grade, it's about stretching that thinking, explaining ideas, and realizing there is more than one way to make sense of a problem.
If students leave elementary school believing they are capable of being math thinkers, everything else becomes possible.
And that is it. That is Chapter 6.
And that is the work.
So until next time, keep noticing the math around you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.